Hey guys, it's JC Theater Yu-Gi-Oh! Here today, and I'm coming at you with a Generaider deck profile for you guys. Now, with the most recent core set of Yu-Gi-Oh! Coming out with some more Generaider cards and some support for level 9s, I figured this was the best time to finally actually build the deck completely. Even though I've had all of the cards from Mystic Fighters since they came out, I think the deck really changed after this most recent set came out, and once Eternity Code comes out, the next core set, we're going to get another main deck monster, which will definitely help the deck a lot. But without further ado, this is my deck profile for right now for Master Rule 4 for February 2020 Generaiders. So first off for the deck, I'm playing 2 Mardell Generaider Boss of Light. Now, Mardell is interesting because all of the main deck Generaider monsters are level 9, and they have an effect where you can only have one copy of each specifically named Generaider monster on the field. So you can only have one Mardell on the field, for instance, at a time. Additionally, other than Mardell, all the other main deck Generaiders that are out right now in the TCG have an effect that tribute other Generaider monsters in order to use their effects. Mardell's is a little more interesting because when she's normal or special summoned, you can send one Generaider monster, or you can add one Generaider card or one plant monster from your deck to your hand, except another copy of herself. So she's basically the searcher of the deck, and as you've noticed, she can also search a plant monster. Another thing with Generators is they either have to do with Generators or the type that they are, and you'll see what I mean when I get to the other cards in the deck. Next up, we play 2 Utgarda Generaider Boss of Delusion, which came out in the newest core set, which right now is Ignition Assault. This card is actually quite good. It's almost like an ABC Buster Dragon in a way. What he does, again, you can only control him, one copy of him on the field, and you contribute 2 Generaider monsters or rock monsters and target one card on the field and banish it, and this is a quick effect. So basically ABC Buster Dragon, the only thing is you have to tribute 2 monsters with them being either rock or Generaider, which when we get to the field spell, you'll see that even though tributing monsters is quite a cost, the field spell mitigates that a lot. And then we have a lot of one-ofs, which I'm just going to put on the screen and then I'll tell you about them. 1 Frody, Generaider Boss of Swords. 1 Hela, Generaider Boss of Doom. And 1 Needhog, Generaider Boss of Ice. As well as 1 Nalfgaard, Generator Boss of Fire. And 1 Dolvingus, Generator Boss of Iron. So Fire, basically, the main reason I play him in this deck is he's quite a beat stick. He has 3100 attack, and he's a beast warrior. And basically, if a card you control would be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can destroy 1 Generaider monster or a beast warrior on the field instead. So he can save some of your cards. Boss of Iron here, he's kind of the most... not the best, because what he does is you contribute any number of Generaider monsters or machine monsters and special summon from your hand in defense position exactly that many Generaider monsters or machine monsters, all with different names. But the thing is, sometimes you don't really want to see your Generators in your hand thanks to the field spells effect. So he's kind of he's pretty good if you have the Generators in your hand, but you don't really want to see the Generators in your hand, if that makes sense. Next up, Frody. You can quick effect tribute any number of Generaider monsters or warrior monsters and target that many monsters on the field and destroy them, but your opponent draws cards equal to the number of monsters destroyed on their side of the field. So this definitely isn't too good. It is a quick effect way to just destroy multiple monsters on the field. And if your opponent draws a card or adds a card from the deck to their hand, which drawing is a form of that, you're able to make your field spell use its effect. So this is really good, but also kind of really bad because you never want to give your opponent draws, of course. And Hela, Generator Boss of Doom, basically you contribute 1 Generaider monster or a zombie and target 1 Generator monster or zombie in your graveyard with a different name than the tributed monster and special summon it in defense position, so she's some graveyard recursion. And then finally, Needhog, Boss of Ice. If your opponent would special summon a monster, quick effect, you contribute 1 Generaider monster or a worm monster and negate that summon, and if you do, destroy that monster. He sounds good on paper, at least to me anyway, but in actuality, he's not entirely the best, so we just keep him at 1 copy because he is pretty good. And that's all the generator monsters we have in the main deck. Some complementary cards in the deck. I play 3 Lone Fire Blossom because this is just an easy way to bring out the Mardell in the deck. Additionally, since this deck uses a lot of level 9 monsters that use special summoning to get out on the field, you don't really use your normal summon much. So I use Lone Fire Blossom as a normal summon, and then the other normal summon I use is Amano Iwato, which, if you guys aren't familiar with this, it's a spirit monster that while he's on the field, he cannot be special summoned first off, and monsters cannot activate their effects except spirit monsters. And then, of course, since he's a spirit monster, during the end phase, you have to send him back to your hand from the field. Amano Iwato is surprisingly good to get over like hand traps and stuff. The only thing really is, in Generator specifically, you're doing a lot of stuff on your opponent's turn. So I found Amano Iwato to be pretty good just as a normal summon to kind of stop your opponent from messing with your plays, since most of your effect activating and stuff of that nature happens on your opponent's turn. And since it comes back to your hand, he's a constant recursion, and you don't have to summon him if you know you're going to be using your Generator's effect during your own turn. Another monster I play is the 1 Pankratops, just as a nice special summon and pop on the field if need be. And then for hand traps, I do play 3 Ash Blossom. The Amano Iwato is probably the spiciest, but also the card that makes the least sense in this deck. So if you aren't a fan of that, you could always replace Amano Iwato with something like Droll Lockbird, Effect Veiler, or Ghost Ogre, or just any other hand trap that you find necessary. That's all the monsters, guys. Let's move on to the spells and traps. Now, onto the spells, I play 2 Generator Boss Quest. Now, Boss Quest is kind of interesting. Before the most recent support came out, that helped with some level 9 draws, which I'll show you in a second, which I obviously play in the deck. Generator Boss Quest I thought was a really cool card. You can reveal 1 Generator monster in your hand, and if you do, add up to 2 Generator spells and traps with different names from each other from your deck to your hand, except another copy of Boss Quest. And you then place that Generator monster in your hand that you revealed in the bottom of your deck. So this basically allows you to unclog your hand, since you want the generators to be in the deck mainly, and then you can add 2 Generator spell and traps from your deck to your hand that you obviously would like to use. The only thing is, other than the field spell, the other Generator like spell and traps in the deck are either bad or specifically geared towards getting the field spell out. So it's kind of redundant in a way. It's definitely good for, like I said, unclogging the hands from generators, but ultimately there aren't many good searchable targets really for this card. So that's why we just play it at 2. Finally, what I've been talking about so much, we do play the 3 Generator Boss Stage. And if this card didn't exist, first off, I don't think generators would even be a thing because it's so integral to their play style. So Generator Boss Stage does a few things. Once per turn, if a card is added from the main deck to your opponent's hand, except during the damage step, of course, you can special summon 1 Generator monster from your deck in defense position. And if you special summon a Generator monster during your opponent's turn, except during the damage step, you can special summon as many Generator tokens, which are Fairy Light level 4 with 1500 attack and defense, as many as possible in attack position, but destroy them during the end phase, even if Generator Boss Stage is removed from the field. This is good because basically what happens is this gives you up to 4 potential tributes for your generators to tribute off to use their effects, since they tribute Generator monsters. The fact that this creates tokens that really help out your other effects definitely are really good, especially because you can use like Hela or something to kind of tribute a token or in order to replace it with an actual generator. So this card is very, very good, plus it brings out your generators from the deck. Because of this, you definitely want to see this as early as possible, since this is what really makes the deck play in general. Because of this, I do play the 1 Terraforming. Some other one-of cards in the deck, I play 1 Monster Reborn. And even though the level 9s are quite big, this deck is relatively slow in a way until you get the field spell. So I do play the 1 Raigeki, just to clear the field sometimes, or bait out a negation, if anything. A card I've been talking about from Ignition Assault that was like the level 9 support is I play 3 Kujikiri Curse, which is basically almost like a trade-in for level 9s. What it does is you send 1 level 9 monster from your hand or face up on the field to the graveyard and draw 2 cards. The only downside of this card, other than as opposed to trade-in, is the fact that this is a hard once per turn, so you can't use multiple of these per turn. But it's still very good. It unclogs your hand from the level 9s, and because I rely on this as my draw engine, since I don't have Pot of Extravagance in this deck, that's why I play slightly more generators than you normally would, because honestly you could probably play 1 of each generator, get rid of the machine one, and maybe even the Beast Warrior one, and because you just want them in the deck. But I kind of want to see them in the hand because, like I said, this is my draw engine in this build of the deck, since I don't have Pot of Extravagance. Additionally, since this deck brings out cards from the deck and all those crazy combos, we play 3 Called by the Grave in order to get past some hand traps there. Additionally, this card, I've held on to it since I found out generators were a thing. I play 3 World Legacy Monstrosity. Now, World Legacy Monstrosity is a quick play spell card, and it has 2 effects that you can activate one of them when you use it. You can either special summon a level 9 monster from your hand, or if you already have a level 9 monster on the field, you can target it and special summon from your deck 2 level 9 monsters with different original type and attribute from that face-up monster, with different names from each other, but they cannot attack and they're destroyed during the end phase. So this is how you can get into some Xyz plays and other things of that nature. Plus you can still use their effects, and you can even use them as tribute fodder if you don't happen to get enough tokens on the field from the field spell. This is definitely good. It's kind of a win more card in the way, since you do need either a level 9 on the field in order to really go off. But it's also good because, like I said, in this deck in particular, this build, you will see some level 9s in your hand, and this kind of brings them out to unclog them a little more. Now onto the trap cards. We play the 1 Metaverse, same reason as the Terraforming, just to get to the field spell as quick as possible. 1 Generator Boss Room. When your opponent activates a card or effect in response to the activation of your generator card or effect, you can discard 1 card, and your opponent's effect becomes each player draws 1 card. This is pretty good. It's a continuous trap card, and basically it allows you to kind of mitigate your opponent, like stopping any of your like quick effect banishes from Utgard or anything of that nature. And the main reason I play this actually is because this is just another named spell or trap that's a generator card, in order for boss quests to have some more targets in the deck, so that way I don't end up having like a dead card, because this is usable. Additionally, this effect to make your opponent's card effect each draw a card, your opponent will draw a card, and that activates the field spell's effect. The final generator card in the deck is 2 copies of Generator Boss Fight, and this is basically a metaverse in a way, but better for this deck in particular. What it does is you can activate 1 generator field spell directly from the deck or graveyard, which is good because you can recur it, and then your opponent draws 1 card. Because of this, not only do you get your field spelled out on the field, but this makes your opponent draw a card, so your field spell can automatically activate its effect since your opponent is drawing immediately afterwards. Finally, this card, this is a 40 card deck as of right now. These last 3 cards are purely because I don't have IP Masquerena, and even if I did, I think you should at least run 1 of these, and it's World Legacy Awakens. What this is it's a trap card, and when you use it immediately after the effect resolves, link summon 1 link monster using monsters you control as material. It's a hard once per turn, so it's kind of cloggy, bricky. It is a trap card, all those bad things with it. It's just another way to link summon on your opponent's turn, so that way you can use those tokens for things before they destroy themselves during the end phase. It's kind of like an alternate, not win condition per se, but just an alternate route to use those tokens, so that way you aren't left with just tokens that get destroyed. You want to use them up into link monsters or something of that nature. Now on to the extra deck. So for the extra deck, I'm just going to run through some of the link monsters quickly. Just 1 Underclock Taker, 1 Beat Cop from the Underworld, 1 Nightmare Phoenix, 1 Nightmare Cerberus, one Nightmare Unicorn, a Borolo Dragon, a Boral Sword Dragon, and a Mech Knight Crusadia Avermax. I don't have an Apollosa, but if you did, definitely run it. Additionally, if you had an IP Masquerena, like I just said previously, definitely cut like probably Underclock Taker or where is it? Somewhere under here. Probably cut Underclock Taker in order to get the IP Masquerena in this deck, because that can definitely help some plays happen on your opponent's turn for sure. Now onto the Xyz monsters. Okay, so for the Xyz monsters, first off, we play one True King of All Calamities, the classic, you must always play this if you can make some rank 9s. Additionally, we play Infinitrack Earth Slicer, which takes 2 level 9 monsters as well, and he has an effect where when he destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you can attach that monster to Earth Slicer as a material, and then he has a effect where you can remove any number of materials from him and target that many cards on the field and destroy them. So he not only has a pretty decent attack stat at 3100, but once he destroys something, he'll have 3 materials and you can destroy 3 things on your opponent's side of the field, which is pretty good. Additionally, I play 2 Phantom Fortress, what was it? Enterblathner. This is a pretty good rank 9. He has multiple effects. Once per turn, you can detach 1 material from him to activate 1 of 4 effects, which is banish 1 card your opponent controls, banish 1 random card from your opponent's hand, banish 1 card from your opponent's graveyard, or banish the top card of your opponent's deck face up. This is definitely good for a lot of reasons. It's either to get rid of a problematic card on the field, to remove some hand advantage. It's just very good. It's almost like a weakened Trishula, and I like it quite a lot. The next card is actually new from Ignition Assault, and that's 9 Lives Cat. 9 Lives Cat takes 2 level 9 monsters. He has a fat stack of 3300 defense. And what it does is your opponent can't target other monsters you control that were special summoned from the graveyard with card effects, and you can detach 1 material from it to target 1 level 9 monster in your graveyard or 1 monster in your opponent's graveyard and special summon it. This is good because the wording of the card, if your opponent has any monsters in their graveyard and you have no level 9s in your graveyard, you can still activate it and then select one of the materials that you removed from 9 Lives Cat to special summon it out on the field. So that's quite good, because that just means that you can bring back basically one of your generators you just used for 9 Lives Cat. And then finally, we have the boss monster of the deck, the Jormungandr Generator Boss of Eternity. Now, it takes 2 or more level 9 monsters, and you can only control 1 of it, just like the main deck monsters. And its original attack and defense because 1 becomes 1000 times the number of materials it has, and it has a quick effect where you can detach 1 material from it, and each player draws a card. Then each player that drew attaches 1 card from their hand or field to Generator Boss of Eternity. So that basically means you get rid of 1 material to gain 2 materials, so he gets +1 material every time he uses this effect, plus you get a draw, and your opponent also gets a draw, but that just means our field spell goes off. This deck is definitely really cool, and I like it a lot. With the new set that comes out, they're actually coming out with a level 4 monster for the deck that I think will help tremendously, and even though a lot of these like side set decks like archetypes have been getting support every core set recently, I think generators have been consistently getting like better from the support, because a lot of the support is just kind of helping them a little bit, or like adding some interesting avenues for some other decks, like Evil Eye's getting some support here and there and stuff of that nature, or Infinitracks. But specifically, generators are actually looking to get better and better with the more support they get. So hopefully one day you might see this deck at the top tables. Thank you guys so much for watching, and make sure to subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.